Pokémon Horizons has now commenced its 4th arc in the series, and it's already off to a good start. With the new opening complementing the narrative ahead, there's bound to be many more exciting reveals and plot twists to surface from below. Besides that, episode 69 ended up doing the impossible and made something very special unfold to the world about this series. Hey, what's going on guys, my name's Raph, and today, episode 69 of the Pokémon Horizons anime aired in Japan. Some very cool reveals came to life from this episode, so let's dive into the exciting events and discuss further possibilities. Don't forget to leave this video a like to show your support, and I'll be sure to bring out my next video shortly. Make sure to subscribe if you aren't ready to keep up to date, and without further ado, let's begin. Firstly, with today's episode. Episode 69 showcased the Rising Volt Tacklers arriving in the land of Kitakami. We got to see characters like Carmine and Briar make their debuts, alongside the Rising Volt Tacklers in the Kitakami outfits in relation to the Festival of Masks. They all looked superb. On top of that, the plot behind the Synchro Machine was pretty fun. It's interesting how the anime broke the rules with its own twist, having this implemented in Kitakami compared to the Blueberry Academy. I really enjoyed the segments between Friede versus Carmine. Carmine was so determined to beat Friede, but she just kept on losing. Poor girl. But it was really cool to see the dynamic between these two characters. Hopefully we can see more of this in the future, and the episode done a great job of portraying Carmine's character. No sign of Kieran unfortunately, but oh well, maybe in the future. Also, there was a nice small Easter egg showing the original chubby Pikachu design when Friede and Cap were playing the game. I'm looking forward to watching subs later on, and I'll post my full review on Twitter, so if you haven't followed me on there, then you already know what to do. Let's now chat about next week's episode. Episode 70 is titled Tinkatink's Hammer wasn't built in a day. The summary states the following. After hearing that Briar is at the Crystal Pool, Liko and the others start climbing Oni Mountain. On the way, Tinkatink is overjoyed to spot some nice iron and starts pounding it with his hammer. Dot is overwhelmed with emotions from seeing Tinkatink's hammer grow in size so suddenly, but then a wild bombardier shows up and takes Tinkatink's iron. Looking at the preview, this is where we'll see Cap make friends with the Pichu from the special preview trailer, and of course, the bombardier takes Tinkatink's iron. It looks like Quaxly is getting clapped in the battle, and the baby will be the last one standing to take on the terrestrialized Pokemon. I'm sure this is where we're finally going to see the little one evolve into a Tinkertuff, and it thoroughly deserves it. I really like Dot's Tinkatink, and I'm sure this evolution is going to bring many more exciting opportunities for both itself and Dot. It's a great Pokemon as well. Right, let's now talk about some details showcased in the new opening. Besides being an incredible opening with amazing visuals and reveals, there are some details that I've been discussing recently on Twitter, and I wanted to revise and bring up some cool discussion points. First, we have Gibeon. As time has passed, we've learned that Gibeon is definitely after something that lies in Rayquaza. Whilst the opening showcases him very focused on obtaining Rayquarium, something about his character seems like there will be a much deeper twist to come. I think with the way the story is currently going, Gibeon is most likely wanting to take over Rayquaza for himself. There could even be a much darker plot twist when it comes to this segment. When we first got introduced to Gibeon, it looked like he was already part of Rayquaza, or a settlement that had energy from there. I wonder if Gibeon is using this as some sort of life support, or maybe feeds off energy from Rayquaza that much due to previous addictions. This then leads on to the next point, which focuses on Lucius and his friends. We can clearly see the individual on the left is a young Gibeon, so we don't need to worry too much about trying to figure out who that is. However, the other character on the right is someone that definitely needs to be discussed about. From the initial reveal, I still think this is Liko's great-grandmother. Shown back in the special preview trailer, we got to see Terrapagos use his powers at the Crystal Pool, revealing a character. Of course, everyone was starting to think that this was a future Liko, and how it could have predicted how she saved the world, or even a young Diana due to her adventures. By looking closer at the image, we can see the character is holding a baby, and this is where I actually start to think it's Liko's great-grandmother, this being of course Diana's mother. Diana first found the pendant back when she was a child, and upon locating it, she's been on an adventure on her own with the pendant. Relating back to the original frame, this has to be her mother, seeing as Terrapagos is accompanied alongside them, and surely this is this Pokemon from the pendant. It would make so much more sense as to why the explorers initially wanted to get the pendant in the first place. Analysing this character a little closer, we can see she appears to have a scarf or hat that is very similar colours that depict rainbow wings from Ho-Oh. I'm not sure if this is some aesthetic for her outfit, or if she is a very specialised trainer that actually managed to get a legendary Pokemon. I mean, Lucius has 4 of them on his team, so I wouldn't be surprised that seeing as this is dated back many years ago, she too surprisingly could have had a Ho-Oh or another legendary Pokemon. Gibeon has a Zygarde as well, so we can clearly see these characters have some proper powerhouses on their team. Speaking of Pokemon, let's now talk about Zygarde and Rayquaza. The existence of these two shiny Pokemon in the anime is still raising a lot of questions, especially in regards to how the trainers got them. Of course, we know Lucius has befriended the Rayquaza, and Gibeon has the shiny Zygarde, but how exactly did they manage to befriend them and even catch them in the first place? On top of that, this shiny Zygarde alone speaks volumes. Zygarde is the Order Pokemon, and said to serve as the protector of the planet's ecosystem. With Gibeon in possession of one of these Pokemon, how is that exactly going to help the ecosystem in that way? And yes, of course we've seen multiple Zygarde in the Pokemon world, but once again, we still don't even know if this anime is set in the same timeline as Ash's world, and on top of that, If this Pokemon is constructing cells to get into its 10% and 50% form, then surely its allies and other cores will understand about the inconsistency with one of them missing in some manner, especially if it's now the Pokemon of an evil leader. Now when it comes to Rayquaza, this is where the eyebrows start to raise just a little bit more. Why are these two clashing? Okay, let me rephrase that. Why are these two clashing with one another so viciously shown in the opening? Do both of these Pokemon have history with one another? Or is it just a simple cinematic to showcase a plot point where it's good versus bad? Of course, the battle between these two legendary Pokemon is clearly a representation of Dragon of the Sky versus Dragon of the Ground. There's something about these frames in the opening that makes me feel there's a much deeper meaning, and I'm starting to see a lot of parallels and also opposites from them in relations to characters and Pokemon. We haven't even gotten onto the topic of a potential Zygarde complete or Mega Raquaza potentially coming into action. Two insanely powerful Pokemon that can reach a new potential if needed. I think it might be a little bit tricky for Zygarde, seeing as it's the only core there, or at least what we know of. So maybe it will just stick to this form, or if it reveals a brand new form of some sort, then I don't see it happening. As for Rayquaza, I think this frame alone has given us a huge indication that it will Mega Evolve. It looks like it's using the move Dragon Ascent from the animation, and if the writers are planning to not implement the Megalith and just follow simple game logic, then Rayquaza is definitely going to Mega Evolve in the anime. Unless again if this is just for cinematic hype, which I don't think it is. And then again, I think this could be our clue. To be fair, episode 45 did show the Pokemon using the move Dragon Ascent, so I wonder if it is another tease of it coming to life. Shout out to my bros actually for reminding me about this. I generally did forget. Also, I watched back the reveal trailer of this series, and this segment even looks like it was a tease of the Pokemon Mega Evolving. Unless of course again if it was just for cinematic value. Actually, come to think of it, could the anime even make another twist with Zygarde itself too to counter this? Zygarde versus Mega Raquaza would be an insane battle, but I don't know, it just makes you think, especially seeing as Raccoon is proven to increase a Pokemon's strength tenfold. Maybe this is why Gibeon wants to go back to Rayquaza too, to obtain it to make his Pokemon elevate with a new power. I doubt it'll be a Mega Evolution or anything like that because there's a separate entity in itself. But in regards to these two Pokemon clashing, there's definitely something being lined up for them both. Right, let's talk about Entei again. So last week, we noticed that in the new opening, Entei was nowhere to be seen. Despite Entei being previously shown in openings and other promotional material, I still wonder why it wasn't shown in this new opening. Whilst we know that Cleavor has been shown, we've had trailers showcasing this Pokemon being in the spotlight, and whilst there too also was another trailer talking about Entei's existence, it still puzzles me why it was not shown anywhere in the new material. I still reckon there's going to be a plot twist with Gouging Fire coming to life for this. It would make so much more sense, especially seeing as Arven is now here, Area Zero is mentioned, Rayquaza could be tied to it, and there's a lot of connections. We know that there's even merchandise with Paradox Pokemon being shown, and even though none of them have made a debut, I still reckon that Arven and previous characters alongside Briar and Carmine could all be implemented in this potential turn of events. On top of that, this frame where it shows the Bravasagi ship flying over what almost looks like the higher level of Area Zero, possibly teasing and indicating that this place could actually be shown in the anime to support the statements previously mentioned. Okay, this is a big one. Let's now talk about Amethio. Episode 68 showed Amethio being accompanied by his beloved comrades Zerk and Konya, and after being dismissed by his grandfather, we saw that they still stuck by him during his upset. On top of that, Zerk was literally watching Dot's stream. How can we hate these guys? I reckon they're going to join Amethio and join the light, honestly. We have already seen how great of a character Amethio is, and with the way he's potentially going to portray his Zuko arc, I think this is going to be the best plot point yet. I can just see him joining the Rising Volt Tacklers and finding his own path, something he mentioned he wanted to do. I really do hope this happens, because I'll hate for him to just go away, train, come back, and still be with the Explorers, to then just get banished again and have other admins do him dirty like that. We can clearly see he's not a good fit for that team. He was literally forced by his grandfather to pick up his father's pieces. Heck, that's another character we don't know anything about. What if Gibeon made him go to Rayquaza, and after failing, it was that disappointed, hence why he asked Amethio to pick up the pieces. There's so much when it comes to Amethio, I'm really rooting for him. Ever since episode 65, I could just see he was destined for something better. So fingers crossed, I hope this happens. Finally, we have Friede. Last week I made a tweet about how this frame caught my attention. It looks like Friede is essentially walking away into the light. At first I thought this was just for cinematic value, but after watching it a couple of times, and how the Amethio frame with Spinal followed this, I started to think about it a little deeper. Is something going to happen to Friede? Maybe something good or something bad? I don't know what it is, but from the very beginning, there's always been something about Friede's character, about he's been forgetful at times and he's always wanting to do things alone. In episode 46 especially, we saw him looking at Lucius's belt with Captain Pikachu and said that they both need to keep on going forward. Whilst we know the two have bonded together and set on a new horizon back in episode 18, why did Friede have to say it like that? Was it we, the Rising Volt Tacklers, have to keep going? Or was it him and Captain Pikachu alone? I don't know, man, I can just feel something is going to happen. I don't think he will turn evil like many assume, but I definitely know for a fact that something is going to happen to him. He's a big supporting character, a professor, a leader. I wonder if maybe he turns out to be related to Amethio, maybe putting an end to their adversary. We'll just have to wait and see. be. Pokémon Horizons continues to showcase many exciting elements, and with the opening revealing a bunch of cool frames, there's bound to be a lot of fun plot twists along the way. With the heroes looking for Kleavor, there's definitely going to be a lot of surprises to come forth, and I can't wait to see how everything circles back to the main plot of this series. Definitely make sure to tune into Pokémon Horizons, because boy, just talking about these possibilities has me hooked, and I'm sure there's a lot more that will come out the woodwork. It really is going to be an insane time to be a fan of the Pokémon anime. But why not let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. If you guys would like to interact with me, then be sure to follow me on Twitter and join the Team Pokécraft Discord server to discuss all things Pokémon. You can find the rest of my social networks on screen and in the description below. If you enjoyed the video, then be sure to leave it a like, as your support is greatly appreciated. Don't forget to share the video with your friends. Finally, make sure to subscribe to keep up to date with my videos, and click on the little bell to enable notifications so you guys get notified when I upload a new video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and be sure to stick around for more Pokemon content. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.